Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Association of Independent Maryland and DC Schools. Thank you so much for joining us. We're really excited you're here. We have some great institutions with us here today. Each will have 6 minutes to share more about their institution, but we'll be around for the entire session to answer questions. My name is Catherine, and I will be your facilitator for this session. Before we get started, we do have a few housekeeping items before we get started. First, your camera and microphone are off. You are muted and your video is off. The panelists can't see or hear you. If you have any questions at all, feel free to use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen to type in your questions to the presenters at any time. They are here, ready and available to answer your questions. This is one of many college presentations being offered, so feel free to check the schedule on the website for more. And lastly, all sessions are being recorded and will be available at strivescan.com/AIMS. We are currently in session D5, where my mouse is circling at the moment, and this is also the same order of presentation. So without further ado, I'll get out of the way, introduce our very first representative from Goucher College.
Good evening, all. Good evening. My name is Lisa Hill, and I am Senior Associate Director of Admissions here at Goucher. Thank you so much for being here today. Goucher College is located just 12 miles north of downtown Baltimore in the suburb of Towson. We're about an hour from Washington, D.C., about a 90-minute drive to Philadelphia, and about a 3-hour train ride to New York City. Additionally, we're about 45 minutes from Thurgood Marshall, Baltimore Washington International Airport, as well as about 12 miles from Amtrak's Baltimore Penn Station. So we're in a great location along the East Coast. Goucher is a welcoming and inclusive community that reflects the diversity of today's world. Students are attracted to Goucher because they can be themselves. They see that their individuality and passions are embraced and appreciated among the Goucher community. Successful students are intellectually curious, passionate about social justice, and have an eagerness to experience the world. Our 287-acre campus is home to 1,100 students who are from 43 states and 28 countries. 40% of our students have identified themselves as BIPOC or multiracial. 30% are student athletes, 15% are first generation, and overall represent a myriad of perspectives, interests, and identities. Our average class size is about 17, and we have a 10-to-1 student-faculty ratio, which encourages communication, collaboration around the Goucher community. As a private liberal arts college, we are dedicated to preparing students for the jobs of the future. A liberal arts education includes the sciences and a focus on critical thinking, problem solving, collaboration, and communication, the very skills sought by today's employers. Goucher has designed a distinctive and forward-thinking set of experiences called the Goucher Edge that allows students to discover and develop their lifelong purpose. Students work toward their own edge and beyond as they craft a personalized combination of challenging coursework, transformative global experiences, and a practical career preparation, all with the collaborative guidance of an individualized team of student success advisors. Beyond the classroom experience, we provide students with numerous opportunities for experiential learning, including global experiences, internships, and community-based learning programs. A signature feature of Goucher is our study abroad experience. Since 2006, Goucher has had 100% commitment to incorporating a global perspective throughout a student's academic experience. Our study abroad options include semester-long experiences and intensive courses abroad, which are 3-week programs led by Goucher faculty. As a residential college, the concept of community means many things to us, as more than 80% of our students live on campus all 4 years. First-year students live in a first-year village, a living and learning complex designed to foster community and collaboration, and features a demonstration kitchen, performance studio, fire pit, and lots of hammocks. Mary Fisher Dining Center is centrally located on our campus. Our food service company utilizes about 30 local farmers, which supply us with fresh produce, antibiotic and hormone-free meat products. The dining hall is set up in food stations and can accommodate all variety of dietary regimens, including vegan, vegetarian, kosher, halal, allergen-free, as well as gluten-free. We also have over 60 clubs and organizations for students to join, including the Bat Movie Club, the Beekeeping Club, the Women of Color Circle, and a number of affinity and cultural groups. It's very easy to start a club at Goucher. Additionally, we offer Division III athletics that include 10 women's sports, 8 men's sports, a nationally ranked co-ed equestrian team, as well as esports and intramural and club sports. In regards to admission, we offer an individualized and holistic admissions process that is test optional and free of an application fee. Additionally, all students are considered for merit scholarships during our review process. And our scholarships range from $20,000 per year for 4 years to $36,000 per year for 4 years. Students can submit their application for early action or regular decision consideration via the common application. Both deadlines are non-binding and offer a rolling notification of admissions decision. If you want to be considered for financial aid, we ask that you submit the FAFSA after October 1st. So finally, it's not just me who thinks Goucher is a really special place. Many other independent sources do too. Goucher's history has demonstrated a commitment to innovation, to global education, as well as social justice. And these 3 pillars are still here today, if not present even more. So thank you so much for your time and learning a little bit about Goucher. If you're interested in learning more, feel free to visit one of the links here to see our virtual tour or our website. Thank you again, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Awesome, thank you. The next representative is from the College of the Holy Cross.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Courtney Lima, and I am the Associate Director of Admissions here at College of the Holy Cross. So just some basics about Holy Cross. We are a small undergraduate-only liberal arts institution located in Worcester, Massachusetts. Now, a lot of folks usually ask, where's Worcester, Mass? So if you think about an awesome trifecta of cities, we're about an hour away from Boston and also an hour away from Providence. We are also a Jesuit institution, and all of our students entered undeclared. So what that means is that we don't admit based on majors. And even if students know what they want to major in while they are at Holy Cross, we actually want our students to be undeclared their first year so they can really take advantage of the liberal arts education and explore and then declare their major once they are sophomores. More information about Holy Cross. We have about 3,000 students on our campus. You can see different demographic breakdowns on our slide there. I want to touch base on our retention rate and 4-year graduation rates. For students in the room, retention rates is for students that decide to come to Holy Cross for their first year, over 90% return their second year, and that stays pretty consistent throughout the whole 4 years at Holy Cross. Even more so, we have a 4-year graduation rate of 87%, and that was from 2 class years ago. We recently just received data from the students that just graduated, and they graduated in 4 years at a rate of 93%. So what that means is when students are on campus, they are receiving adequate advising. So they have close relationships with our professors. They are getting into the classes that they need to graduate on time. They are receiving great experiences in and out of the classroom. And most importantly, they are affording the Holy Cross education. And I will touch base more about financially later on in the presentation. Here at Holy Cross, we have a first-year program for students to really help them with the transition to campus and also introduce them to the liberal arts education. That program is called the Montserrat program. Essentially, students are placed into living and learning communities. Think of your residential hall, you have a theme tied to it, and those themes are what is in bold at the bottom there. And then with each theme, there's a seminar. So essentially, you may be living in the Contemporary Challenges residential hall, and then you will be attending seminars with students that you live with in your dorm. Now, the themes in bold stay the same every year, but the seminars change depending upon what is happening in our nation and also globally. So for instance, if you're in the seminar about disease and pop culture, you will be in a class with your peers, but also with professors from the science area, from sociology, from social media, really dissecting the problem from multiple lenses, which is a real value of a liberal arts education. Here is just some fast facts about College of the Holy Cross. I'm going to touch upon a few bullets there. First off, we have great study abroad programs. We have your traditional semester program where you study in a different country for half of the year. A lot of our students also go away for an entire year. And with that year, you can go away in the same country, or you can split it up between 2 different countries. One of my students before COVID was going to go to Peru for 1 semester and Argentina for another semester. And her study abroad was a little different, where instead of going to another college, she was actually going to live within the communities and do research, since she was a sociology major. I have another friend who studied abroad in Spain, and she attended an institution there. So different ways that you can study abroad at Holy Cross. Now, if you want to go off campus, but not necessarily abroad, we also have study away programs in the DC area, as well as New York. We have over 100 clubs and organizations on our campus. We are a Division I school, which a lot of folks are surprised to learn given our small student population, but we have huge spirit. For students that are interested in law school and med school, we have a 91 placement rate for law school and a 76% placement rate for med school. Now I'm going to transition and talk about admissions and financial aid. So at College of the Holy Cross, we accept the Common App and/or the Coalition App. We do not have a preference for either. We do not require additional supplements. So as you start your college process, some colleges may require you to write additional essays. At Holy Cross, we only require 1 essay, which is your college essay that you will submit on the Common App or the Coalition App. We are test optional, and we have been test optional for almost 2 decades. We are seeing that the majority of our students are actually applying and being admitted to Holy Cross without their test scores, and we're sitting about a 36% acceptance rate. So we feel very strongly that a student who doesn't want to submit their test scores, that's great. And if a student does, that's great as well. As I alluded to, we believe strongly that a test score does not determine the success of a student on our campus, and you'll see data on that on the next slide. We review our students in a committee process, which means there are groups of staff members that we gather together in a group, and we review the different information of a student's application and then come together and make a decision upon that student. Interviews are not required, but they are strongly encouraged, and interview dates will be up starting in June. So definitely, if you can get a slot in the summer, we are able to offer a lot of interviews virtually as well. Here you'll just see our average student profile, 3.8 GPA, top to 10 to 15% of their class, and our information about our test scores there. You'll see our deadlines there. We are an early decision school, so that means we do have a binding agreement, and then regular decision January 15th. And lastly, we meet 100% demonstrated aid need of our students. So with that being said, we require the FAFSA as well as a CSS profile for all of our students. If you have any questions, that is my email, clima@holycross.edu. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a friendly reminder, if you have any questions at all, feel free to use the Q&A button to submit any questions you have. Our representatives are here and available to assist. The next representative is from Holt International Business School.
Hey everyone, my name is Thomas Wise. I'm the Director of Enrollment and Academic Partnerships here at Holt. Part of what I'll be doing today is discussing a little bit about what Holt is, since I know in a lot of cases we're a little bit of a newer institution, especially when it comes to the United States. As always, of course, as was mentioned, please feel free to throw things in the Q&A. So unlike some of the programs that we've talked about and a bit uniquely to Holt, we are actually exclusively a business school. We only focus on business as a major, or excuse me, business as a topic, but we offer undergraduate, master's, MBA, and now a doctoral program as well, all focusing within the scope of business. The one you're here to hear about, of course, is the undergraduate program, our Bachelor's of Business Administration, which is a 3 to 4 year program. However, we do offer a +1 that allows students to continue on into the master's afterwards. And complete their bachelor's and their master's within about 4 to 4.5 years. So a little bit about Holt. We have a lot of facts and figures on here, but I'll go over the ones that are the most important to me personally. I think retention rate is a huge part, which shows a lot of student happiness. 86% of our students, our first year retention rate, come back year after year. 7 out of 10 of our Holt students do graduate in 3 years or less, which is a huge point of achievement for us as an institution. We want our students to move into their post-college lives as quickly as they feel comfortable doing. And then 56% of our students are working in a country outside of their country of origin, which is a pretty cool stat for those of you who are thinking about working internationally as well. In total, we have about 27,000 alumni, and that number grows by about 2,500 every year from all of our programs that students can network and connect with. Holt Hires Holt is a huge part of our success within an institutional level. And you can see some of our rankings down below there. One that isn't there, but just came out that we're super proud about is that 2 of the top 100 business majors, according to Poets and Quants, came from Holt this year, which we're very excited about. And you should check it out if you have a chance, because it talks about where our students are going after as well. So we're a truly global program. No more than about 8.5% of our students come from any one country, which means 141 nationalities are represented on Holt's campus. They speak 111 languages for our students, and our faculty is diverse too, at 45 different to 50 different faculty countries. We're also diverse in where we're located. So Holt students can start in Boston. That's actually where I'm based. They can also start in London and rotate between those 2 programs at ease over the course of their time in the program, which means during the summer, during the spring, during the fall, you can rotate between those. You can also rotate during the summer to one of our summer campuses in Dubai, Shanghai, or San Francisco, meaning that you are getting a very global degree as a student at Holt, not just from your program, not just from your fellow students and friends, but also from where you're able to study and intern. We're also a truly integrated degree. We use challenge learning, skills development, and personal coaching to result in something that gives you an edge post-graduation and really means that you're never wasting time with classes. You're always building towards your degree and building towards your skill sets. Holt's program is based on a set of core modules. You'll do 8 core modules and 8 specialization modules as a student here. You can see some of them on the screen, such as the Startup Challenge or the Social Impact Challenge. These all revolve around a specific challenge that you'll complete prior to the end of the module and build towards through classes in that module. And these projects range anywhere from hackathons and simulations all the way to live client challenges as early as your sophomore year, where you're working with companies ranging from small local firms all the way up to doing consulting with Fortune 100 companies as well. We also have specialization modules, which go into your majors and minors. All of our majors, which are in marketing, management, entrepreneurship, business analytics, and finance, can also be minors, alongside psychology, computer science, and design. And ultimately, you can graduate in as little as 3 years, depending on your AP credits and whether or not you rotate over the summer. When you do graduate, you graduate with what's called a business portfolio, and a business portfolio supplements what you create as a student. It gives you the opportunity not just to have a resume, but to have a living, breathing document that contains everything that you've worked on, whether or not that's pitches at the TEDx events that are held on campus, to the budgets and reports that you've worked on, the sales pitches that you've done, the business ideas that you've built, or the budgets that you've worked on and designs that created. You have a living way to say, this is what I worked on, and I know what I'm talking about when you go and you interview for your first positions or your first internships. Ultimately, that results in a pretty impressive and overall strong graduation rate for our students and postgraduate success, with 99% of our graduates employed or in graduate school within 6 months of graduation. Again, that 56% of students who are studying or working in a country outside of their country of origin, and our top 20 global employers being pretty wide ranged, going everywhere from tech such as Airbnb and Amazon to more traditional hospitality-based companies, all the way to consulting firms like KPMG KPMG, and Deloitte. We're also very friendly when it comes to scholarships and awards. We base both on merit and need demonstrated by students, and they range from 10 to 60% of tuition. 70% of our students receive financial aid, and the average package is 38% of tuition. Though we are an international school, we're based both here in Boston as well as in London, which means FAFSA is accepted. And most importantly, if you are a high need student and an exceptional student as well, you can apply for the Holt Scholar Grants. 10% of our student body every year receives this as a way for us to give that opportunity for students who are truly aiming to make a difference in the global business landscape. And that means that a full 10% of our student body is working towards that as undergrads. Lastly, the admissions journey, one of the things that does differentiate us is our interview process. Students do and are required to interview in order to complete their application, but we also are very personalized, which means you as an undergrad will be working, or you as an applicant rather, will be working with an enrollment advisor like me all the way through your process from beginning to end. Lastly, wanted to say thank you guys for your time and your attention. You can see my information on the screen, and I also, if it's okay with our facilitator, will post it in the chat before we end today so that you guys can have that there. Thanks again, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the evening. See you soon.
Yes, that's absolutely okay, and we appreciate it. Thank you. The next representative is from Penn State.
Hello, everybody. My name is Brett Hoffman from Penn State, and I'm your regional recruiter. And let's get our slideshow going here. All right, so we have a lot of different things at Penn State. We're going to quickly go through just really a lot of different profile information. Being that we're just about 3 hours away from the Baltimore area, maybe 3 hours and a half from the DC area. We do know a number of students in these areas are familiar with Penn State, and we do encourage you to not only talk with us, but talk with the alums or current students that you might know as well that come through too. So Penn State's a unique student body in many, many different ways. Number one, we are one of the top 10 largest schools in the country. In addition to that too, we have always been known as being a very vibrant student body, one of the most active student bodies both in the classroom through research, internships, study abroad, in many different ways, but also outside the classroom in our clubs and activities as well too. Some quick stats about Penn State that you can see. Like earlier, we heard about some graduation rates and some retention rates too. You can see those as well too. Remembering that the graduation rate nationally usually hovers in the mid 60s. And then also the national retention rate is usually in the low 80s as well, as you're using these as markers too. Study abroad at Penn State, we are very looking forward to re-engaging in study abroad. We are one of the top 5 largest study abroad programs, not only in the places that we do visit, but also a number of students that do partake in those initiatives. We do go to all continents, including Antarctica. And you will see there $1 billion in undergraduate research at Penn State. Overall, $1 billion is the overall amount, but undergraduate research at Penn State is available in every major. Despite our large size, Penn State has a very reasonable student to faculty ratio. We do work very hard to have a lot of people accessible, not only the faculty, but also staff as well. Large school, we do have 275 different majors to choose from. It's a great place to come if you already have something in mind and you want to kind of get into the details and dig down a little bit deeper into your knowledge base as well. A great place to be undecided and pick a major while you're within your first 2 years. Or if you want to double major or have 3 different academic areas as well too. A large number of clubs and activities at the university among all our different locations. So one thing to know about Penn State is we are not just one campus, although the University Park campus, once again, is one of the top 10 largest campuses in the country. Overall, our student body runs about 80,000 undergraduates among 20 different campuses. A lot of those are very small campuses, ranging from 5 to 5,000 students. I do want students to know that we do offer Division I and Division III NCAA sports at the same university. We're the only school in the U.S. That does have that arrangement. So we are one university at 20 different locations within the state of Pennsylvania, and you'll see not too far away are some campuses northwest of Frederick and north of Baltimore as well. Some quick tidbits as well about our learning that comes on. Of course, we use our own website as an application as well as the Common App. We will not be using the Coalition app this coming year. We do use the self-reported academic record. The self-reported academic record is a place where we do not take transcripts from your school. Rather, you enter this information into the application. And currently that is due also the same date as the application. So if you're applying early action, that would be November 1st. And we are test optional for the current senior class and junior class. Those sophomores, we have not decided yet about test optional status in our scores. And then my Penn State profile is where you get a little more information down the road. Here's a little bit more about that profile at Penn State. We divided it up into the University Park campus. And then if you are using test scores as well, and you can see the different rates at different campuses as well. A lot of different things you can see, a lot of things that we did throw at you at the university too. So high graduation rate, giving us the largest alumni association in the country. And so we do have ample networking opportunities and job opportunities on campus and off campus as well. Here's a little bit about my information, and we'll let that hold and sit for a minute as well. And then I'm probably going to throw in a chat. I saw either that earlier Thomas put in a QR code, but I'm going to give you a link for us if you do want to sign up with us to get more information about this visitation or upcoming events that we might offer. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Before we hear from our last representative, just another friendly reminder that if you have any questions at all, feel free to submit those using the Q&A button towards the bottom of your screen. Any questions at all about the college application process, or even if you have a specific question for any of our representatives, we encourage you to include the school name. Our last representative, but certainly not least, is from UC Berkeley.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Jewel Howard, Assistant Director in the Office of Undergraduate Admissions at UC Berkeley. I am regionally based on the East Coast, so a little closer to you all than a lot of my colleagues. And so I'm going to go ahead and jump into what makes UC Berkeley such a special place and why it may be a perfect fit for you. We are a four-year public institution, and we are part of the University of California system as a whole, which includes 9 campuses in totality. And in total, Berkeley is the flagship campus for the system. So it did start with us, but I always encourage you all to research all 9 of us. I always feel like each of us have something very special that may speak to you, depending on the campus community, at the location, the academic programs. Now, Berkeley specifically, we are in Northern California, about 20 minutes outside of San Francisco. You can see the skyline from our campus. We're also very close to Oakland. We're about 45 minutes to Silicon Valley, which is a big draw for a lot of students. We're also about an hour and a half to the state capital in Sacramento, not to mention some great weekend trips to Napa Valley or Lake Tahoe area. So you are very centrally located when it comes to resources, whether it be for internships, research, or just entertainment. You really have a lot at your fingertips. Now, what makes Berkeley one of the best schools, not only in the country, but in the world, are students. They are really the heartbeat of who UC Berkeley is as an institution. We have over 30,000 undergraduate students representing all 50 states plus US territories, not to mention around 100 different countries. So it's a very global community. Not to mention, as you see, diversity is very broad on our campus. 74% of our freshmen this past year came from public schools, 26% of first-generation college students. So it's just not ethnic diversity on campus at Berkeley. We are really looking at diversity in a broad scope, because again, we really want all students to be represented and have a voice on our campus. Academics are key. We have over 100 different undergraduate majors, split between 5 colleges and 1 school. College of Letters and Science is our largest college. It has about 75% of our students. That's everything from your arts and humanities and biological sciences to your social sciences. But we also have a College of Chemistry, one of the only in the nation. We've added about 16 elements to the periodic table. So that's a strong suit for us. College of Engineering is our most competitive program to be admitted to. College of Environmental Design, where you have like architecture. College of Natural Resources, and also Haas School of Business, the second oldest business school in the nation. So you have a lot of options coming to Berkeley. Not to mention we are a Research One institution. So research is heavy on our campus. Funding is there. A lot of ways to be engaged, including our undergraduate research apprenticeship program, which allows you all a chance to work with faculty, staff, researchers one-on-one. Not to mention study abroad is an opportunity at Berkeley. We have over 100 programs in over 40 countries. However, you can also tap into the overall University of California system and tap into study abroad programs, even beyond just Berkeley's campus. We have over 1,200 student organizations and groups. So we have a very vibrant student community, a lot to be involved in. We are also Division I, part of the Pac-12 conference, just won a national title for our men's diving and swim team. We're very proud of that. But in addition to varsity sports, we have over 30 club sports that compete nationally and intramural sports. And for those who are interested in Greek life, that's also a part of the Berkeley community. And then leadership is key to the Berkeley experience. If you know anything about our community, we have always been very active and vocal in what's taking place in the world. You may be involved through our student government group, which is one of the largest and only independent groups in the nation. You may do a public service, a program through our public service center like Callan and Capital, where you come to DC and back to DC area and do an internship for a semester on Capitol Hill or one at Smithsonian. But because Berkeley's always been very focused on community and service, we are still the #1 producer of students who've gone into the Peace Corps. Not to mention, as you see, from a career standpoint, we are the #1 school for sending graduates into Silicon Valley, and students really appreciate that access. Now, key things to know about admissions really quickly. We practice a holistic admissions review process. So we look at everything in your application in totality and context of where you're attending school to make a decision. We are test free. Basically, that means we do not consider your SAT or ACT in our admissions process, not even for scholarship consideration. It's not a part of our process. And that's going through 2024. We only use the UC application. That's the only way that you can apply to Berkeley or any of the 9 UC campuses, strictly online. And then one key thing I will say is letters of recommendation are also not required. So when you are first applying, that's not something that you have to send to us. And that can be quite confusing sometimes. So I always want to stress that to students. Really key, applications go live starting August 1st. The filing period has just changed. Typically, it will be the month of November. Now we've extended it to October 1st. So now you'll have 2 months to actually submit your application, with the deadline being on November 30th. And it's just one application deadline, no early action or early decision, just one deadline. So we keep it very simple. All right, so here is my information. I will also put my email address and some links in the chat for you all to kind of copy and paste and keep with you, just in case you have some questions after today. And please feel free to engage with us on social media. We love to hear from you all. And thank you so much for your time.
All great information. Thank you so much. We do have some time left. And so at this point, we're going to now pivot into our Q&A portion of this session. I invite all our representatives at this time to please go ahead and turn on your cameras, to get ready to unmute yourself. And we'll go ahead and get started with our first question here, which is, what advice would you give someone going through the college search process? What advice would you give someone going through the college search process? We'll go ahead and get started in the same order in which you all presented it.
Hi, everyone. The advice I will give is to be yourself. We are all college admissions people, are all very, very nice people. We have been in your shoes before. We know what you're going through. So if you can, just trust us. Trust us to understand your journey, what you're seeking, and keep in touch with us. Let us know how we can help you through this process. Okay.
Sorry. I would say definitely it's great that you're talking with us today, but if you also can, try to visit the school that you're interested in, especially if it's very different from the area that you live in. For instance, if you're on the West Coast, visit the East Coast, or vice versa, big, small, city, rural, to really get the vibes of campus, but also the community off campus as well.
To echo in part what I think Lisa was speaking towards, it's important for you to advocate for yourself. A lot of the times there's this like feeling of nervousness being a student, looking at colleges and universities, feeling like you have that kind of same relationship you do in a classroom with a teacher, where there's an authority and you're not in that position of authority. But the reality is colleges and universities and people like us are here because of you. And we want to help you move in your journey however we can. And so the things that you need, whether or not it's more information or to speak with someone in careers or to talk to a current student or come for a tour or anything along those lines, please ask for it. It's one of those things that is part of what we do. And it's one of the things that we love to do is talk with students about their interests and really help guide them to a successful college career.
And also echoing what we just said, the great advice that we already have is that when you're dealing with a large school, a couple of us here too, the reason why universities put us in positions where we are regional recruiters is to make a one-on-one connection with you as well. And so don't assume just because a school is large that it's going to be a fully numbered process. We are literally here to work directly with you and your families and your counselors within your schools. So please reach out to us and don't be afraid to use us as a great resource.
I'm going to say one of my best piece of advice is to be kind to yourself. Give yourself some grace in this process. It is difficult. I think we've kind of hinted at that already. To navigate, it can be very confusing and chaotic, but it hopefully overwhelmingly is more exciting. You are moving into the next phase of your life. It should be inspiring, and that's what we hope for you all to get through this. But I think you all have to give yourself some grace to know you're not going to know everything, and that is more than okay. Take your time, ask the right questions. Please lean on your counselors. Ask them the right questions. Talk to us. Talk to your parents. You know, you have a lot of resources at your fingertips, but you got to tap into them. But again, try to enjoy this process. Again, be kind to yourselves. Give yourself some grace with the process so that you can enjoy it as best possible, because it will go quickly. And you want to enjoy it. So again, you can go into your college life and experience excited about being there.
Great advice. I think it's helpful for those who are navigating the college process right now. So thank you for just from your perspective to shed some advice and words of wisdom. The next question is, what's one thing you want students to remember about your school? What's one thing you want students to remember about your school?
With Goucher, one thing is that we have 100%, as I said, we have 100% commitment to study abroad, which means all of our students study abroad. So if you're coming to Goucher, you're going to be with people who understand what it is to live in, to experience alternate lifestyles, to immerse themselves into culture. So that just makes conversations on campus just kind of bigger. And it's also, because of our location, it's kind of rare for small liberal arts colleges to be located so close to a city. Baltimore is 12 miles down the road, and the suburb that we're in, there are actually 2 colleges there. So our students have a lot of access to different resources. So location and study abroad.
Thanks. I would say with the Holy Cross community and opportunity, and I say community because of our residential campus, active student body, like you'll find out a lot of small residential college campuses, but I want to say personally, for opportunity, I was the first one in my family to go to college, and my parents weren't born in this country. So I love the work that I do because we offer a lot of opportunities, especially with financial aid for students that may be in a similar predicament, but also once students come to campus, funded research opportunities, making it easy to go home and visit family, close relationships with professors. I really enjoyed that about my small liberal arts education as a first-gen student, and I'm happy that Holy Cross provides that to a lot of students.
I think for Holt, what I would like people to remember is the fact that we're very much about the idea of experiential learning. I think a lot of us can speak to our own college experiences of being in the classrooms where we just sat and took notes over and over and over and over until we got to the end of the class and took an exam. And it's not actually a great way to learn. And so one of the things that we're very proud of and that I actually really enjoy about Holt is the fact that we actively encourage our students to get messy and get their hands dirty, to make mistakes and to learn and grow from those. And that's something that I think makes Holt an excellent school in terms of students who want to do and create and build.
And then at Penn State, I mentioned before, over 275 different academic majors. We want the word that you remember to be research. Every major at Penn State, as an undergraduate, has the capability to give you and offer you an undergraduate research experience prior to your honors program experiences and even prior to your graduate school. So research, Penn State.
I'll kind of tap into something I already talked about, just that Berkeley is not just a think tank. Academically, yes, we are strong, but it's about a balanced college experience. The student life is equally as vibrant, but that community and activism for us comes in a lot of different ways. That may not only be through you marching in a protest, that may be you in the laboratory discovering something new. That may be through your work at a nonprofit organization that you started with your fellow students on our campus. So it is not one size that fits all. And we are a large community made up a lot of different kinds of communities and identities that intersect in so many beautiful ways. And so I always want students to know that the Berkeley experience in the community is very strong and we are a safe space. And so I always never want you to have kind of a one-dimensional idea of what Berkeley is. It's really what you make out of the experience. And so I think that's really important to know about our community, and that spirit is high on our campus.
Great, thank you. We are going to jump to our last question here. So we'll do this one really rapid fire. And the last question here is, what is one myth you would like to debunk on the college admissions process? What is one myth you would like to debunk on the college admissions process?
Well, the first thing that pops into my mind is that the decisions that you made when you were 14 years old in 9th grade will not determine where you go to college. So our hope is that you will have matured since then, and we will see how you have developed as a person by the time you submit your application.
I want to know what a great question that I've never gotten asked. So it's really making me think. I think all of us went, I was a college counselor beforehand, so I did admissions, college counseling, and back into admissions. And one thing I really want to debunk is the role of test scores. And if students see a college that's test optional, if they're putting it out there, they are test optional. You're not going to be the one student that doesn't submit a test score. That's what my students were scared of. So really trust that the college knows their students well, and that if you're really worried about that, no need to.
Yeah, I also came from the other side of the table. I was a high school teacher for about 5 years, right out of college, and then jumped to admissions. And I can say that probably the biggest thing is that you need to come in knowing what you want to do. I think there's like tons of stats out there, but the overwhelming majority of people not only switch careers and industries post-grad like 7 times before they retire, but a lot of people switch their majors. It's okay to come in without a major in a lot of cases to develop and explore in your first year what you want to do. And it's encouraged because the person you are at 18 or the person you are at 17 is not the person you'll be at 22 or 25 or 30 and beyond.
One kind of myth that I want students to just be aware of, this functional type thing, is that when there's numerous items available to submit an application, either optional or required, don't make assumptions that, well, this must be due at a different time than this. If you don't know the answer to when, say, for instance, a self-reported academic record is due, check it out with the school, or better yet, get it in before the deadline for submitting the application. So don't make any assumptions. And about deadlines, if you don't know a deadline, check it out. We are all a little bit different. We heard different answers here. We all have our different schemes and different ways we like to do stuff, put our handprint on it. So please check with all of us if you want to be a serious applicant.
I think the myth outbreak is that all of your extracurricular involvement has to be school-based, and if it's not, that we don't value it. Yes, you can have a part-time job. I have kids who have basically full-time jobs. I have students who are helping at home and translating documents for their elders, who are taking them to doctor's appointments. All of that is valuable. That's leadership. So do not think that we only are concerned with what you're doing in the classroom. If you are spending your time doing something productive outside of the classroom, in and out of the school, all of that is valuable, and you have to give yourself that credit and understand that it's valuable. So please know that it does not have to just be school-based. We value all of that.
That was great. Really appreciate all our panelists again for just sharing what a great way to end this session, and hope that you all found it really helpful. Again, thank you to our panelists, and thank you to each of you for joining us. We have now reached the conclusion of this session. As we close, will be a very quick 5-question survey that will appear on your browser. If you don't mind taking a moment to fill that out for us, we would greatly appreciate it. There are more sessions happening. Feel free to feel free to sign up for more sessions on the website. And lastly, this session is being recorded and will be available on demand later at strivescan.com/AIMS. Again, thank you all and have a great night.